Hi, I'm Rawan Bieda, Head of Fraud Investigations at Coinfirm. Today I'd like to present you with the cutting-edge solutions that enable both crypto asset tracking and recovery. Coinfirm asset tracking services may be divided into four main categories. The first one, ReclaimCrypto.com, is a service where victims from all over the world can reach to us and provide the details of the crypto frauds. For the past year, we received more than 10,000 claims, which highly increases our knowledge of frauds in crypto. Second service is called CLive. This enables live tracking of the crypto flow through blockchain with the instant notifications to the user. The third one, Forensic Report, is a full evidence of the crypto flow through blockchain that may be used in court. The source of funds enables tracking crypto flow backward through blockchain, providing the details and evidence of the origination of the cryptocurrency. When it comes to tracking crypto assets, it is important to understand that usually the perpetrator would dissipate the stolen funds into dozens or even thousands of addresses, trying to hide the real origination of the funds. Eventually, the perpetrator would try to cash on cryptocurrency exchanges. Our tool is using professional forensic accounting methods to trace the cryptocurrency flow through blockchain, evidencing each transaction that was used to carry the portion of the stolen funds. We are using multiple forensic accounting methods and we compare the results in between. It is very important because if the address is confirmed with all 5 tracing methods, this is a very strong evidence that this address is indeed the destination for the stolen funds. And in that case, it is very difficult for the defendant to undermine our methodology. Our tool is fully automated. All we need to do is to paste the initial fraudulent transfers, and since then, the full evidence, the tracing, instant notifications to the user when the funds move, all of this is done automatically in fly. And our tool is able to trace the funds flow in a real time. Let's say that the portion of the stolen funds is held on the hacker wallet. If these funds move in the next blockchain block, the tracing would automatically rerun itself, send the notification to the user, and the evidence file will be updated. For the time being, our tool covers Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Dash, Litecoin, Ethereum and Ethereum tokens, and Ethereum Classic. We're working on introducing more blockchains to our algorithm. Let's discuss the first case study. JBS, a food supplier from the US, was hacked and forced to pay $11 million ransom in Bitcoin. We identified the Bitcoin transaction and pasted that to our algorithm to trace the destination of funds. This is Coinfirm IML platform with the CLive module. This is the view of the JBS ransom case. As we can see, the latest movement of the stolen Bitcoin was actually today, 16 November 2021, at 9 a.m. UTC time. This table presents the current position of the stolen Bitcoin. For example, this wallet is still holding 25 Bitcoins originating from the ransom transaction. This hacker wallet is still holding 11 Bitcoins originating from the hack. On the contrary, this address is a deposit of Huobi and received 1.7 Bitcoins originating from the ransom transaction. This Binance deposit received 1.5 Bitcoin. If any of the Bitcoins from the hacker wallets move, the tracing will run itself automatically and the new evidence will be uploaded to the platform. Simple report may be downloaded from here. This is the Excel report presenting the basic insights of the case. You can open it. And the first page is already familiar from the platform. This is the table presenting the addresses currently holding the stolen funds. Let's say we want to take a closer look at this Binance deposit. The second tab presents the list of transactions used to deposit the stolen funds to the certain address. As we can see, this Binance deposit received only one fraudulent transaction related to our case. Within this transaction, on this date, 1.5 Bitcoin was deposited to this Binance deposit address. So it is very important to understand that this evidence is created live in Fly. So if the funds move and are reached by the identified cryptocurrency service, we can just copy-paste this data to the asset protection notice requesting freezing of the stolen funds. When tracing the case using CLive, the full evidence is created in the background. As mentioned before, each case is traced using 5 different forensic accounting methods, each represented here by a separate tab. First in, first out, last in, first out, 2 different pro rata methods, and tail last. Let's take a look at the first in, first out method. This is the full evidence of the stolen cryptocurrency flow through blockchain. Here we can see the very first ransom transaction. As you can see, it was paid from 2 Gemini addresses to the hacker wallet. This is the basic information behind this transaction. Here we can see that Gemini addresses belongs to the huge cluster of 241,000 addresses. We have many basic information behind these blockchain addresses. And we can see that the total transaction amounts to 344 bitcoins, among which 301 bitcoin was paid as a ransom, which was at the date of the transaction $11 million. This 301 bitcoin is flagged by the algorithm and traced further to blockchain, in that case using first in, first out method. And so we can see that immediately after 5 minutes, within the next transaction, hacker wallet dissipates the stolen funds into 2 another addresses. And again, after 10 minutes, second address is sending the funds further to another 2 addresses, and so on and so on. Here we can see the mixing transaction. The funds will be traced until we hit the identified owner. For example, a Binance deposit here. In that case, the tracing will stop, and this address will be presented on the summary tab. This is the summary presenting the addresses that currently hold or receive the stolen funds. For example, this Huobi deposit received on average 1.7 Bitcoin. It was confirmed by each tracing method. We can take a look at how much was received by this address per each method. Using first in, first out method, 1.6 Bitcoin. Using last in, first out method, 1.4 Bitcoin. Using pro rata bio output method, 2 Bitcoins. Pro rata by blocks method, 1.6 Bitcoin. And tail last method, 2 Bitcoins. So no matter how we trace, no matter which method we use, this address is confirmed as the recipient of the funds originating from the first ransom transaction we paste to our algorithm. So as you can see, on the bigger cases, tracing can be complicated and the evidence file would be very big. But we can simply trim the evidence file to show only the path to the selected addresses. For example, only to the Binance wallet. What's even better, with a few clicks, we can import the evidence file into the graphic tool, such as IBM i2 Notes. Here we can see the very first ransom transaction. 301 Bitcoin paid from 2 Gemini wallets to the hacker address. You can see another transaction here, and the dissipation of the funds within this transaction to this and that address. Another dissipation here. So effectively we now trace 3 different paths. We can see that within this transaction the bitcoins are gathered together. And so on and so on. The cryptocurrency flows through newly created addresses by the hackers. Much bigger dissipation of the funds here. But eventually, within this and that transaction, bitcoins are gathered together on the Binance deposit address. Let's see if we can trace the funds sent through the mixer. So let's assume we want to trace the 71 Bitcoin from this address. As we can see, the full amount from this address was sent further within this transaction. But the transaction totaled to 195 Bitcoin. We have many input addresses and more than 180 output addresses. Tracing it manually would be impossible. What we did, we spaced the initial transaction to our algorithm. Let me present you the visualization of the tracing results. This is the transaction of 195 Bitcoin, within which our address sent 71 Bitcoin. You can see that immediately Bitcoins are dissipated into a huge number of addresses. The path seems to be very complicated, but if we take a closer look, we can see that after the first dissipation and mixing in between different addresses, eventually Bitcoins are gathered together in the left down corner here. If we zoom in, we see 2 Huobi deposits. Let's take a closer look at the shortest path in between Huobi deposit and the initial address. So I found 10 closest paths between initial address and Huobi deposit. Let's paste it to another window and make it look a little bit better. So it's less complicated now. We can see initial transaction, sending the funds to this address, then to that address, within this transaction to this address, another address, and Huobi deposit. So we can see actually that in between initial transaction and Huobi deposit, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 intermediary addresses, used only once in blockchain to receive and send the funds further. So this is clear mixing path to hide the real origination of the funds. But we have evidence already in place, both in visualization and in the tabular form.